Bitter criticism. It's time for Russia Today. Russia Today Unplugged. I guess I will not read too much. I only have 4% of battery.
Sí, hace 20 años estaba ya me aburrió, esa weá ya no sabe por bajo. Igual gano plata porque hago la pega particular, bueno, así que hago mi turno y ya estaba libre, si hacen un turno por 35 lucas de las 12 hasta las 7.
That's interesting. October 20, Americans getting wise to propaganda machine. Musk, Elon Musk. The big government machine will clamp down on free speech if the Democratic candidate wins. The tycoon has predicted. SpaceX and Tesla founder Elon Musk participates in a town hall style meeting to promote early and absentee voting at Ridley High School October 17. A victory for Democratic nominee Kamala Harris could usher in a crackdown on freedom of speech in the U.S. Tech billionaire Elon Musk has warned. Speaking at a rally for Republican candidate Donald Trump in Pennsylvania on Saturday, the Tesla and ex-CEO was asked what kind of administration he will expect to see from Harris if she wins the November election. Quote, "We will see a lot of censorship under a sort of Kamala regime. Kamala is really just puppet. It's just a puppet, frankly. If the teleprompter breaks, she doesn't know what to say," Musk said, adding that he prefers to think of the administration as, quote, "a big government machine that puts on a certain face to appeal to voters." In contrast, the tycoon said that he finds claims that Trump is, quote, "a danger to democracy" to be bizarre and hypocritical. Given that U.S. President Joe Biden and there goes Cucho Fly, character here in Valparaiso. Anyway, he's a poet. Actually, he's kind of just like me. Well, this kind of rhymes is nice, you know. You made some. It's good for your mind. Find the rhymes, you know, the style. There's some kind of slam, poetry slam, and someday I will call him to go. But last time there was not. 1 day ago, yesterday, there should be this slam, but didn't happen. Anyway, quote, "We will see a lot of censorship under a sort of Kamala regime. Kamala is really just a puppet, frankly. If the teleprompter breaks, she doesn't know what to say," Musk said, adding that he prefers to think of the administration as a big government machine that puts on a certain face to appeal to voters. In contrast, the tycoon said he finds claims that Trump is a danger to democracy, unquote, to be bizarre and hypocritical. Given that U.S. President Joe Biden was removed from the race in an incredible undemocratic fashion. Quote, there's a strong push. There's clearly a strong push for censorship under the guise of fighting disinformation. But disinformation is really a propaganda. It's a propaganda word. Who's going to decide what this information is? The government. That's crazy, Musk stated. Yeah. So this paragraph is really something. Look. Very smart, very wise from Tycoon. I will read again. Quote, there's clearly a strong push for censorship under the guise of fighting disinformation. But disinformation is really a propaganda word. Who's going to decide what disinformation is? The government. That's crazy. Must say, well, this is very deep and very theoretical. Definitely, it's nice to read Russia Today. However, the billionaire said he remains optimistic about a shift in the national mindset. As more Americans refuse to believe, quote, everything the media tells you. Quote, actually in the US, people are starting to realize that the legacy media is just a propaganda machine, he argued, while the European audience still thinks the news is real. In June 2022, Harris spearheaded the creation of the White House Task Force to address online harassment and abuse, with a focus on protecting women and the LGBTQ community. In 2019, the US Vice President labeled social media platforms as purveyors of hate and misinformation and said she wanted to hold them accountable for the content they spread. Musk has repeatedly criticized the US government for overreach and attempts to introduce what he sees as excessive content moderation, while the mogul previously positioned himself as politically neutral. He publicly endorsed Donald Trump after the former president survived an assassination attempt in July, donating tens of millions of dollars to his campaign. The Republican, if he wins, has promised to create a new government post called Secretary of Cost Cutting, tailored specifically for Musk. Cost cutting. I guess I knew something about that. I mean, yeah, I guess it's better for the taxpayer. Anyway, the battery just kept on 4%. October 20. Russia and former Soviet Union. Retired US generals think 44 German tanks could defeat, quote, superior Russian army. Philip Breedlove and Ben Hodges did not explain what kind of brilliant maneuver he claimed could achieve such a victory. The photographs shows German tanks take part in military exercises in Pravda, Lithuania. Retired American generals Philip Breedlove and Ben Hodges have claimed that a tiny German force in Lithuania could defend the country against a large-scale Russian invasion, citing opaque war games conducted in Washington. Breedlove and Hodges recently took part in a computer simulation commissioned by Strong Together, a Lithuanian think tank, and run by the Washington-based Center for the Study of New Generation Warfare. Speaking to German tabloid Bild on Saturday, they said the simulation pitted 4,800 German soldiers and 44 Leopard tanks against a Russian force of nearly 30,000 attacking Lithuania through Latvia and from Belarus. There are currently 800 German soldiers stationed in Lithuania, a number set to swell to 4,800 by 2027. In the simulation, the Lithuanian military has used to hold back the Russian advance for 4 days before the 44 German tanks somehow outflanked and defeated the Russian contingent invading from Latvia in a brilliant maneuver. By the 10th day, Breedlove and Hodges claimed the Germans and Lithuanians will have lost 17 tanks, 145 armored vehicles, and 3,650 troops. Russia will somehow have lost 411 tanks, 1,019 armored vehicles, and 420 men in the same time frame. The former American generals profess, without explaining further, a separate assessment of the war game published by Lithuania's LRT News site claimed that a Russian advance could halt it short of Vilnius in time for NATO reinforcements to arrive, but only if the country invests 10 billion euros, which is $10.8 billion, in its military over the next 4 years, almost doubling its current defense spending. Such a favorable outcome will also depend on Lithuania being given attack helicopters and long-range missiles to strike targets inside Russia. Gintaras Asubalis, a retired colonel of the Lithuanian Armed Forces, told LRT. Azubalis told Bild that while he believes the 4,800 Germans could defeat the Russian division from Latvia, Lithuania will nevertheless be left devastated and partially occupied within 2 weeks of fighting. Hodges and Breedlove have a history of outlandish predictions. Hodges once claimed that Western weapons will enable Ukraine to seize Crimea by last year, and declared in March 2022 that Russia was 10 days away from running out of missiles and artillery shells. Breedlove claimed earlier this year that Ukraine can seize Crimea if given enough Western weapons, an assessment not shared by the Pentagon. I guess not, yeah. I guess, as Russia Today is saying, I guess not.